Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Brought to you by Not Enough Caffeine.
That is very true. We're doing a morning show, our time this morning, folks. It's 6 a.m. Here on the west coast of America. Fuck yeah. Because our guest is calling from the UK. Bister. Did I say it right?
That's right, yeah. Bista, or Bicester, as Americans like to call it.
Well, that's good. We sounded out. Bister Oxfordshire. I probably butchered that too.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, really? Great. Welcome, Ben Olding, the creator and developer of Starfighter Infinity.
Hello. How you doing?
Oh, well, it's 6 a.m. That's how I'm doing. But I'm very excited to have you here because, folks, if you're unaware, Starfighter Infinity is a currently in alpha MMO RPG. How would you describe it, Ben?
Well, I think it's an action game at its core. So I started with a top-down space shooter action game, and it's kind of expanded into an MMO RPG kind of thing. So the RPG is almost secondary, I think. I'd call it an action RPG. Does that sound about right?
That actually does seem pretty apt. Yeah, that actually does seem pretty apt. Basically, folks, it's not true. It's not fully top down. Like, you can change the view, so you're kind of getting like a third person view, but it's at its core a top down space combat MMORPG that also has elements of exploration as well. And I've been playing the alpha for when did you release the alpha into testers care? Was it a month or two ago? About?
To be honest, it's been such a blur. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, must be a couple of months now, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple of months. You can. Okay. First, if you bought into the Kickstarter, which was successful, congratulations. You can get into the alpha, but then you could be like someone like me who paid later to buy into the alpha. But now it looks like you can only buy into the beta.
Well, I just didn't want people to spend all that money and only have a week, because I'm hoping to move on to beta like shortly.
Oh wow! Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I haven't got time to do a year long alpha, so I have to almost push forward. So yeah.
And
that's fair.
And you have been pushing. You guys, I'll tell you, I'm on the Discord for the game, and I swear Ben is a machine in putting out updates. Like, there was a period of like 2 weeks where I think every day had a new update, and now it's like every 2 days. And they're not just like a couple of bug fixes. They're like, you've added new solar systems and player-owned stations. And
yeah. No, it's been hard work. Yeah, I've been quite spurred on by people actually playing it, because I have been working on this game for well over a year, really. So now I've got the players in there and actually finding things. It motivates me to carry on. So I've been enjoying it.
And it's really been great because the community has been very, very active in helping you find stuff, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, they have. It's amazing what they've. The bug list is, it's long. I don't think I'll ever get through them all, but and people doing things that I just would never have done in. I play the game like I've designed it to be played, but that's not what other people do. They find all the loopholes and things. So it's been quite funny at times. Like that bug the other day where someone got knocked 10 sectors across the map by one weapon or something.
What?
Yeah. So I fixed that bit. I fixed that yesterday. But yeah, no, it's been
whoops.
Yeah, quite funny. Yeah.
That must have been hilarious for that player. I'd just be sitting there laughing if my ship was just tumble. I think on the video I got knocked into the next sector by no. an enemy ship and I got destroyed by a tumbling asteroid. Like at the
yes, yeah, that was that's a good feature, isn't it?
I could not help but laugh. I mean, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Yeah, no, the asteroid, because I had because initially I had all the asteroids as things that could get in the way, and that became too annoying, and other ships kept killing themselves on them. So then I moved them below, so you could kind of mine them but fly over them, and having them fly through seemed like a good kind of good compromise in a way. But also it did prove to be quite hilarious. I also quite like when you see an asteroid go past with some gold in or something, and you have to struggle to chase it to mine it. I think that's quite good as well. And there is also, I mean, I think only one person's seen these so far, but there's the occasional comet that will whiz through as well. That could be another thing that could hit. Yeah, but they're rare. I put a few things in like that pay attention.
So, folks, basically what the game boils down to is you create a character, you choose a side. There are two factions right now, the humans and the, and I think it's an alien faction, right?
Yeah, well, I try almost. You start with so this is a sequel to a game from 10 years ago, and then you could choose to be human or alien. But what I wanted in it, because sometimes everyone had like two characters, so they could use both. But so in this game, it's almost like a starting point. So you start in the human alliance or the Aurelian Empire, and then you can split off and form your own teams after that. So really, I've just got that as a kind of a starting block, if you like. So later on, it almost becomes less important what race you are. You choose your own direction. Well, that's the plan, at least.
Right. Okay, that's pretty cool. But basically, you create a character, and then you start at a space station. You can do missions, or you can explore. You should do missions because it kind of gives you a direction. But you can just explore sectors in the system. You can mine. You can go off and just The great thing about one thing I love about your game is that every system is split up into these hexagonal. Right?
Yeah.
That's the word.
Hexagon, yeah.
Okay, not enough coffee, folks, this morning. Even with a double shot. Hexagonal sectors, and every sector just about has something going on in it. Whether it's just some enemy drones fighting friendly drones, whether it's like a war between organizations, which is really cool, or an asteroid storm. One of the great things about this game, and I was telling Ben about this one thing where I feel that Vendetta Online fails, is that even getting to your destination is fun. And that is that is hard to do. That is I was going to say that is hard to do, because there have been a decent amount of space games where just get there already. Oh my god. Well,
I always think that with space as a theme, like if you're being realistic, obviously there is a lot of empty space up there, and like I remember playing EVE Online, and you could spend a long time just traveling in that. And in a way, that's kind of realistic, but like as you say, a bit boring. So I think I took more of my influence from sort of like Grand Theft Auto. You must have played that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I quite like that, where you're kind of driving around the city, and it feels like things are going on, and occasionally you get run over. I like that in Grand Theft Auto, where you get run over, and then you feel like you want to get revenge on that person that did it. Have you ever done that? So you end up chasing someone half around the map. And I kind of, so I was almost trying to get that kind of thing, and I feel like that you find a random NPC and they shoot you kind of, or they drop some mines and you explode, and you feel like you want to get them back, and then hopefully that leads on to other stuff. And I saw when I was watching your video yesterday, you kind of did exactly that. You thought, well, I'll go and do this mission, and then you saw an asteroid with some platinum in it, I think it was, and then that turned you onto that, and then something else attacked you. So I quite like that, the fact that stuff can just happen without, the missions is almost just a frame over the top of it, to give you some direction.
Yeah, I love having the missions so you have direction, but yeah, it's just fun. And one of the great things about this game is that it encourages exploration because there is a hyperdrive, but you can only hyperdrive to a sector if you've already been there. So it encourages you to fly around the map and check out all this. I mean, I showed people on the stream. I've got, I think, about 10 or 15 hours in the game so far, and I've seen maybe 30% of the starting system. They're just that big, and which is great. And you're planning at least 10 systems. That's a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, folks. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they kind of designed it quite a sort of a high level. So I basically design it on that map screen, and I think when you think, oh, this area is kind of an area for some pirates, and then we'll have a non-playable race here. Like when you get to the next star system, there's another race that you'll see. Like quite pleasing.
Ooh, okay.
And in fact, that was one of the backer rewards. Actually, the ability to design a race. So I've got about another 10 races that are going to go in.
Oh, that's
They won't
exciting.
be as big. They won't be as big. So I'll have like 1 or 2 ships each. But I'm hoping they'll all have a sort of a unique feel about them. And then you'll be able to sort of steal some of their technology. And also, they'll have relics and things around. So yeah, so hopefully that'll provide enough variety in each system. I mean, there's I've held back quite a lot of things, so there's still quite a few just space anomalies and things to put in. I'm sure you're familiar with them all from all the other games you play anyway.
Sure,
but you should probably give me a list, and I can make sure I put them all in.
Oh, I'll be happy to do that. But yeah, I was gonna say, folks, one of the great things about this game is you get a mission to kill a turret 5 sectors away, but then in one sector, there might be like 20 enemies fighting 15 drones. You're like, I want to get in on this. And you get experience for doing just about anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I didn't want to... I find that quite frustrating when you're playing a game and you keep getting forced to do something that you don't really want to do. I mean, I remember there was that sort of Skyrim video where someone tried to go through the whole thing without killing anyone. I kind of think that's... in an ideal world, at least, that should be how it is. You shouldn't have to do one thing or another. So I was almost thinking the missions are a bit a way of earning a bit of money to do what you want to do, or giving you a bit of guidance if you run out of ideas. But I like the idea that, I mean, when there's more players in, there'll be more PvP and player versus player combat. So I don't want to hold people back for choosing to fight other players rather than doing the set missions. So I think really it should be XP for whatever you're doing.
And that is the great thing, because you might have a mission 5 sectors away, so you're flying and all of a sudden someone attacks you, so you attack them and destroy them, and you get experience for that. Oh, there's a gold asteroid. I'm gonna mine that and get some experience for that. So it's really. And when you level up, you get to choose a specific area you want to spend that upgrade point on, so you can unlock more toys. So there's a really great carrot and stick. There's a really great carrot and stick thing going on here, where it's like, I want to get that one shield, so I got to get an upgrade point to unlock anti-gravity, so I can get that better shield.
I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, that's a bit of a challenge I've got, is the amount of weapons, because I'm trying to put them all in, and I'm trying to make them different. Rather than just one does more damage or does particular type of damage. I'm trying to make add more variety. So not that every new thing you unlock is necessarily better, but it might be longer ranged, but less accurate, or that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that as you go up, you'll unlock the skills that fits the kind of play style that you want. Or maybe also, if you go into a new star system and you find everyone there has got a certain type of weapon, maybe that'll encourage you to get a certain type of shield or gadget to help you out. Well, that's the dream anyway. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many weapons I've got in at the moment, but there's quite a few already. But there's
and we
there's going to be a lot more.
We actually have a question about that because from last Shogun, he was we mentioned a wide variety of weapons, so he was wondering what kind of weapons you have, and there are a lot, Shogun. But Ben? Do you want to list off some of the varied weapons the game already has?
Well, okay. Well, there's the primary weapons, and there's probably about 12 of them, and they're basically your sort of standard just firing ahead weapon. So there's only a hand. Well, actually, I say 12, but there's sort of 5 levels of each of them. So 12 different ones, but more like 60. And then with the secondary weapons, so things like guided weapons, I've got. Well, at the moment there's 88 different ones. Well, again, there's all kinds of systems intertwined here, so it'll work out as hundreds really, because I've got like a Stinger, so that's your basic guided torpedo. But then for that, I've got a stealth variant, which comes in, you can't see it coming, and then there's teleporting variant that teleports to near you and surprise you from different angles. And then other weapons, I've got ones that add a burning effect, so your ship can kind of catch on fire, which does sort of damage over time.
That did happen to me. That did happen to me in the video. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did, didn't it? And then there are ones that do things like just slow your ship down for a temporary time. So things like this, like if you're fighting against a fast-moving ship, it's normally got low shields, but they can be quite hard to hit. So if you can hit them with something that slows them down temporarily, then switch to your higher power weapons, it can lead to some tactics with that. And then I've got there's too many lists. I've got the Thunderbolt torpedo. That's a random one. It's a torpedo that follows them and fires lightning from the torpedo to whatever it's chasing. That's good. And then return to sender. This is more of a gadget. So if you've got 3 torpedoes coming at you, you fire this device and it reprograms those torpedoes to go back to the person that fired them.
Oh wow!
So you've got like So there's the programming skill, and that's got things like that. And then
I gotta put more points into that. That sounds great.
There's lots. I mean, I'm just picking a few at random here. There's the vortex bomb. So that's quite later level one. That creates a mini black hole that sucks in all of the ships around. So if you've got a big cluster of ships, you can pretty much wipe them all out with that. That's good. And then broadside. So that's like inspired by the old ship cannons. So it fires a barrage of bombs out the side. So with that, you don't have to necessarily. So I noticed in your video yesterday, I was going to advise you don't always have to fly straight at them. So if you get the broadside, you could fly to the side of them and hit them from the side. So that can.
I totally forgot that was a thing. I totally forgot that was a thing.
Well, that's just one of many options. So yeah, holographic disguise that disguises you as an asteroid for a few seconds. So if you're trying to sneak up on someone, gravity mine. That's a mine that has a gravitational field that draws enemies towards it, so it makes it harder to dodge. The list goes on. There's too many to name here. But if anyone's got any ideas for any other weapons, feel free to let me know, and I could consider at least putting them in.
Yeah, the last Shogun would like to know if there's any kind of swarm missiles because he's a Macross fan.
Well, there's a device called the Stinger Cloud. So it's a large weapon, which means you only get one of them. But yeah, it's like a big bomb that you drop, and it will fire 20 guided torpedoes out of that. And yeah, I could do. It would be easy to make a few more of them, so I probably will. Yeah, a stealth Stinger Cloud.
One of the great things about this game, folks, are the toys, because like there are a lot of weapons, and they're great weapons. Like There are kind of turrety weapons like lasers and heat beams that'll like once you get close enough, they'll just like turret at the target, you know, which is great. But there are a lot of weapons that'll like fire at range, like missiles and torpedoes. But there are also things that steal energy from enemies and all kinds of things. And there are shield bubbles that give you a little bit of extra durability. There are proximity weapons. There are mines. The broadsides, like Ben was saying. There's just a ton of ways to find out what works for you, which is
yeah.
great.
I'm just trying to put in everything I can think of, really, within reason.
Right. And last Shogun was saying he would imagine that PvP would end up being based on long range combat, and that's not necessarily true because you could fly, you can spoof enemy missiles, and you could get and once you get close,
with long range, I mean this is it. You can kind of kit out your ship to counter that. So you could buy a fast moving ship, and you could get a stealth system, so they wouldn't be able to lock on to you, and then you could buy sort of a close range like shotgun like weapon, and you could sneak up on them. They wouldn't be able to lock onto you, and then you could hit them at close range. But of course, they could, counter that by dropping a bunch of mines in your way or firing some unguided weapons. So I'm hoping that basically, with all of the toys, like you say, people will be able to find ways of countering each other. And if there is one overpowered thing, then hopefully, hopefully I can add something else. I can add some counters if they're needed.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just hoping it. I think almost, if you add all of the tools, people find their own ways to use them rather than me planning any particular type of combat. I'm hoping it will be fast paced and interesting rather than just sniping, although there will be some of that as well.
And while I do love the sniping, I found I don't know if you changed the difficulty in the last few alphas, but for a while, sniping was all I did because it was so effective, and now it's not very effective on everything. So I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, well, it might be because you leveled up a bit. Because I think it'll throw a few tougher enemies at you than it would have initially. Oh, cool. Only to a point. It'll be tougher in the next star system. So each star system it'll be a bit tougher. But also I think there was, I think I mentioned to you before, I think there was a bug where one of the player-owned gangs had taken over some of the stations in the opening star system, which shouldn't have happened, and they were kitted out with tougher weapons than I'd picked. Oh so we did have that. That was a bug before, actually, where someone's organization replaced one of the default ones. They replaced the pirates. So maybe that's what's happened again. I don't know. I'll look into it today.
Right. Remind me, what engine is this game built on?
Unity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
it's go on, what was that reaction?
No, I was just gonna ask, how are you finding it? Because we get a lot of people working with Unity, and the reaction to working with Unity has been fairly varied.
Well, I've come from most of my career I've been making things in Flash, so in many ways it's leagues ahead. I got on well with Flash, and I've liked it. And the old Starfighter game was in Flash, but I think it's taken me a while to transition to Unity, and it's certainly got its quirks. But I think I always think it's more about the end result than the tools you used. I'm sure whatever I used, it would have been fine, but Unity seemed to be there at the time. Looked like a good idea.
No,
pleased so far.
No, I mean, it works great on my machine. I have a potato of a computer at this point, and it runs fantastically. But I did want to talk.
That probably comes from being a Flash developer. I think I'm used to trying to squeeze every last drop out of it. But yeah, I have been pleased that it has been running on pretty much everyone's machine, I think.
I did want to talk about that because you did mention briefly that this was a sequel. Let's talk about that original game for a minute. It was a Congregate game, right? It was a Flash congregate game. It was called Starfighter. What was it called? Remind me.
It was called Starfighter Disputed Galaxy, and it was well, it was made in Flash, and it was 2D. So I mean, you're saying about this isn't truly top down, but the old one definitely was. It was 2D graphics drawn by me, you know, quite basic really. The map was basically one of these star systems in the game, so I called it a galaxy, but it was just the one thing, and it was at the time there weren't many multiplayer Flash games in existence at that time. I think it was one of the first, and I didn't really even plan for it to be an RPG. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think I just fluked it really, and you know, it had it's certainly not my most successful game by a long stretch, but it's had the most passionate fan base of anything I've ever done. And, you know, even though that one was probably 10 years ago, I get emails every day asking about it and asking about the sequel.
Oh, wow.
So thanks to Kickstarter, it was nice to finally be able to do it. And also I feel like, you know, doing it properly this time, you know, that was a thing cobbled together from a few bits of code and a few things friends helped me with. But this, I feel like I'm more experienced now and can make a more polished game. I mean, even before that, there was a game called Starfighter that I made 2004, one of my first ever games, I'd say. And then I made one called Starfighter Quadrant Wars that was basically just a deathmatch version of it. Oh. It all came together just based on what I'd done before and what I could do at the time, really. So yeah. I mean, whether I'll ever do another sequel to this, I guess it depends how this does. But this has been a long time coming.
I have to admit, I always I can never remember the name of the original game because there's another game out there called Starships Unlimited Divided Galaxy. And that's
that's it. Half the fans didn't get it right. I get loads of people message me about Disrupted Galaxy and all kinds of things. And to be fair. To be fair, it's quite a generic name. There's, but then it's hard to do a space game that doesn't sound. You want it to sound like a space game,
right?
But yeah,
at least you didn't put Void in the title because there were so many space games with Void in the title.
Right, yeah.
So many Void games out there. It is tough to come up with these. And it is tough to come up with names for space games. And like, I'll be honest, I look over the Steam upcoming list at least weekly, and there are games with names there that's a space game.
Yeah. But that's almost what I know. Publishers certainly often want it. If it's a space game, people that are fans of space games should be able to identify it. Like you're noticing them on Steam because of the name. If it was called something else, then maybe you wouldn't.
Right.
But, yeah, it's hard. You want to stand out, but at the same time, you want to fit in.
My other favorite, though, are games that have the name space in them, but have nothing to do with space. Like, it'll be like space something, but it's like a MOBA. Yeah. It's like a MOBA on the ground. It's like, where's the space? So.
Or an empty space, or something that's one of these art games. Yeah.
Right.
It's true. It's just as hard with the fantasy games. One of my other games is called Warlords Call to Arms. That's one of my biggest games. But at the time, I didn't really think about it. Yeah, I didn't really think anything about it. But, you know, that's a very generic name. And it doesn't really say anything about what the game is. And it turned out there were games before called Warlords and they've threatened me with legal action. And then there's people that have been...
there's an old series of games called Warlords.
Yeah.
Warlords Battle Cry, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I've had various threats from people, but there have been games since as well. So, nothing's come of it yet. But part of being an indie dev, waiting for a legal threat from somewhere or another. But I think that's it. I think almost if you're trying to come up with a fancy name or a space name, it's hard not to overlap with all the hundreds that have come before.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, right now, the game is very combat focused, which I mean is fine. I don't mind that, but I'm wondering, are you going to add anything like an economy? Or are there going to be other types of things like sciencey stuff, exploration-y stuff? Like what?
Yeah, well, I think there'll always be an element of combat in that there'll be you know what their games like. There are people around you taking place in combat, but I want to do. Well, it sounds a bit boring, but I want to do some sort of courier missions. So you're flying from one place to another.
Hey, I love courier missions. They're great.
All right, okay.
They're great for they're great for newer players. Like, I don't know if you ever played Jumpgate, but that was one of the ways you would get money and experience early, is to do simple courier missions. But they were really, they were really tense. You know, that sounds boring, but when you're in this dinky little shuttle with one little pop gun and there's a hostile universe out there, it's like, oh God, I got to run away from everything. It gets really tense. So
yeah, well, I think that's it. Rather than just trying to outgun people, you can be trying to outrun them a bit as well, or plan your route. Yeah, so I think that could be good. I want to do that. With an economy, I mean, it's been requested and I've thought about it, but really I'm not sure at this stage. I think it might be biting off a bit more than I can chew.
Totally fair.
But,
totally fair. Yeah.
Maybe down the line, I could do something. You know, maybe with the some things you're crafting. Maybe I could have a marketplace for selling things. So maybe you could make equipment for other people. But that's down the line. The other kind of way down the line idea I had about would be landing on planets. Like maybe you could, like, rather than just scanning them like you do at the moment, you could land your ship down and have a wander about. But again, that's maybe a bit ambitious at the moment. But one thing, it was one of the stretch goals for the Kickstarter is to be able to walk around inside the space station, mainly just as a kind of a social thing, but also to make it feel less like just rather than just a space station being a menu. You could get out, have a wander about, have a chat with other players and things. So I think in the old game, sort of the social aspect was a big part of it. People made friends in there, and you know, and that might be hard to have a good chat while you know, drones are constantly barraging you with javelin torpedoes. So maybe having some kind of indoor space would be good for that. And then I thought maybe I could expand on that. I wondered about having sort of the old Starfighter maybe as an arcade game within the game.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you walk up to an arcade console and
yeah. Well, that could be fun, couldn't it? But
that's a great idea.
Maybe, you know, I think for the time being, I'm going to focus on getting the current plan done.
Sure.
I mean, I will get the space station done, but it'll be a glorified chat room initially, and then if the game goes well, then I can add more things into it later. But yeah, it's very easy to get carried away. Go on, Karen. So,
yeah, no, you don't want to go the Star Citizen route where it's we're gonna put everything in our game, and then we're never gonna make a game because we're gonna try and put everything in our game.
I think it's an easy trap to fall into. They call it a scope creep, don't they? Where you start off with a little idea, and then someone says that'd be nice if it had a realistic economy, and then before you know it, you're trying to model the world's economy.
so right now, how many ships are in the game? Because I've seen at least I think about a dozen so far.
Right. There's wow. Let me think. Let me just fire at the game.
Because that's the fun part is it's not just the toys, it's the ships. And there, folks, there are a lot of ships. I'm only level 10 or 11, and there are already a ton of ships. And they're not all fighters. There's at least one freighter in there, which is probably, I'm guessing, more of a mining ship, because you can make a lot of money mining.
It's like a cargo ship. You can do it. Yeah, you can fit a lot more in the cargo hold. Okay, right. So far there is 68 ships.
Holy garbage!
And, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think some of these will be non-playable. So maybe I think there's at the moment, I think there's 60 playable ships, and then there's something like that. So yeah, so quite a lot to get going with, and you know, maybe I'll add more later. We'll see. But yeah, no, my the 3D guy JT, he did a really good job of recreating the old ships from the old game and adding in a few. He was a machine with that. He was doing about one a day, and this was kind of a side project for him as well. I think he's hoping to go into full-time 3D modeling now, or hopefully he will. But
this is a good resume builder for him. Totally.
It was pretty good. I mean, it was a bit of a chance with him, really. Often when you deal with someone who's essentially a hobbyist, you never know if they're going to disappear or something. But he really delivered, and quickly. So
yeah,
the
thing about this game is because you can play top down or like a backwards, like a chase camera, it has to be a fully realized. Like, it's not just a top-down, like, sprite thing. It has to be a fully realized, detailed 3D model that you can see from multiple perspectives. And they look great.
Yeah, and often he was given a 2D sprite to work from, so he has had to kind of use his imagination to extrapolate from that. A few of them he's gone a bit imaginative, but, in a good way, I think. So, yeah. Yeah, really pleased.
Now, let me ask you
I've learned a lot from him as well. He's taught me. Go on. What were you going to say?
Someone was asking about the torpedo barrages that show up on the video. And I didn't notice, but did they show up on the radar at all?
Yeah, they do. They do.
I must have totally missed them then. I keep forgetting that little radar is there, I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah, when I was watching you playing, I kept saying inbound, and then you could see them all coming up. But well, I think part of the game is learning these things. I mean, I could give you a coaching course on how you could have cleared that sector that you ran out of. But I think that's part of the fun. Oh, by the way, the loop, the corkscrew, that doesn't help you dodge it. It doesn't help you dodge anything. It's just like a wave. That was my plan for it. Like if you're in multiplayer, you could use it as a taunt or.
Oh, geez.
Sorry?
I was saying like an emote or the other games have emotes that you can use to greet other players.
Yeah, exactly. So if it was a fancy game, you'd probably wave or something, but because you're in a spaceship that's a solid object, that was the only thing I could think of. So not very tactically useful, but hopefully if you continue to play, you'll learn how to deal with those barrages.
Well, give me a tip. How do you deal with
All right. Well, partly you don't. If you're flying straight at them and they're flying straight at you, then they'll fire this and it'll make it. They're not guided. They just go in a straight line. So if you take more of a sort of zigzag approach, you'll find they'll probably normally miss with those. If you're assuming you're trying to get in close. The other things you could do, you had some mines on your ship. You can make them chase you rather than just going straight to them. You can get close to them and run away and drop some mines in their path, and then they'll hopefully hit them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about using them. I never thought about using the mines as an anti-torpedo weapon. But now that
well, it won't destroy the torpedoes, but it'll. But I mean, they'll. The drones that are firing at you, they'll follow you. They're not that clever,
right?
So you can leave some things in their path. Yeah.
I also thought it was really funny how just humongous the torpedoes were. I thought
they wouldn't have fit in there, would they?
Yeah, no. I thought that was hilarious. Honestly, don't change that. Don't change that. I think that's great. I think it's really funny because you're like, there's a tiny little drone. Holy crap!
Yeah, well, it's lucky they didn't have any of the vortex bombs or black hole bombs or something, because they're about 5 times the size of one of those drones. But I'm sure that will happen at some point through a bug. It's inevitable.
It's just hammer space. They're firing from hammer space.
Well, that's it. You can always come up with a sci-fi explanation, can't you? Yeah, they're being beamed in from another dimension.
They're TARDIS torpedoes, is basically. Or no, those drones are little TARDISes, basically.
But yeah, as I was saying earlier, I don't think those drones with those torpedoes should be in the first star system anyway. I think that's a bug. So I think if I'll look into that when we're done and you know, they'll probably be in the 3rd or 4th star system rather. You know, at the start, I handpicked some weapons that were not too tough, so that you could get the hang of it.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah,
And
it's an alpha.
yeah, exactly. It's an alpha. You're bug hunting, and I just loved how even in this first star system, like there's just already so much to do, and I just love how I've only seen so little of it. Like this is going to be a big game, and I really like that.
Good.
Oh,
Well, thank you very much.
and we this something last Shogun mentioned brings up a question because he was saying those torpedoes look like anti-capital ship torpedoes.
Yeah.
Which is true. Are there going to be like larger capital ships in this game, like maybe carriers you can land on, and instead of just space stations and things like that?
Well, I mean, people have often asked for them, and I would say at the moment there are some bigger ships, but nothing you can land on or anything like that. But I don't know. I'm reluctant in a way to make it end up being like EVE Online or something like that, where you're just sat in a big tank with lots of drones flying around doing all the work for you. I want it to be more like, you know, dogfighting and, you know, reflex action rather than management, if you want. But that said, I like the idea of having a few almost like boss ships, maybe. So maybe like you come in today and everyone will tell you, oh, there's a giant Aurelian ship in this sector, and then everyone can team up to fight.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
I think that would be quite cool. You know, some sort of events. I mean, I've got a few things. I've got a couple of things like that already, but not quite to the scale of what I would like. But there is I mean, there is one big alien ship actually that I haven't put in yet. That was designed by one of the higher tier backers. The reward was to design a race, and he said, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to design an alien ship." And I thought, well, he's putting a lot of money. Why not? And he came up with this giant ship. And it looks pretty cool. But now I'm not really sure what to do with it. I don't know whether to just make the normal players maybe have to get to level 100 to unlock it or something, or maybe I'll have it as one of these boss ships. I don't know. It is cool though.
Well, with a game that's called Starfighter, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to have players in much larger ships necessarily.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's
on
true.
the other hand, you could maybe have something like that as a faction thing, where it requires a very large faction to actually be able to maintain it. So maybe that's your mobile base, and wherever that happens to be, you can spawn from there.
Maybe. I'll think about it. It sounds like it could be difficult to put in, but you know, it could be good. I mean, maybe. I mean, yeah, this is the danger, isn't it? I'm going to go off on an excited tangent here and go and do this. It'll take me a month, but yeah, maybe you could all have a big ship that you could all dock with and man a turret on or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll add it to the maybe later list. But for now, I should try and finish it as is the current plan.
Right. No, that sounds pretty cool.
That sounds absolutely fair.
Now, one thing I did want to talk about is organizations, because this game does have player-run organizations, but they're not just groups of people. They could, like, as you saw, take over space stations and stuff. So let's tell us a little bit about how organizations work in the game.
Right. Well, it's basically at stations later on. You can create your organization. It's basically just creating a team for you and your friends. And again, I want to keep the choice open, so you can go for, if you just have one, just you in it, you become a lone wolf, and you can basically just have your own logo and color on your ship. But if you recruit more people, you get another rank name. Like I can't remember what they are now, but like in fact, here they are. Yeah, if you get 2 people in, you become a group leader. If you get more, you become a squad commander, chieftain. So you get your own unique rank for being the leader of your organization. But with your organization, they can be a dictatorship or a meritocracy. So if it's a meritocracy, then it's the person with the highest XP is the leader. So the leaders can change. And then with the organizations, you can declare war on another organization, which is basically creates some battles in the game. So it's like a team deathmatch, basically, that will last for 6 hours, I think. Oh, wow. So then basically that's just a way of having a kind of organized game against another group of players. But then also in the station you're in, the organization with the most members takes over that station. So the station becomes branded with your organization colors, and you can choose what weapons your drones have, hence the javelin barrage you're being hit with. And you know, there are a few other options about, you can tweak the AI to be more or less hostile and other things. So then these drones, they will spawn within a radius of your station. So the plan with that is that later on in the game, it won't be so much designed by me. It will be almost player designed, if you like. I mean, there'll always still be some elements of control from me. I mean, this is why I haven't made it so you can just build a station. At the moment, at least, there has to be one there, and you move in. This is because I can just imagine logging in one day, and you'll be like you'll be in the one empty sector surrounded by stations everywhere else, or something like that. So again, maybe down the line, I'll add that to the maybe list. What else? I was going to say one more thing. Actually, yeah. Oh, go ahead. It's more of a plan actually. When you're taking on the missions, like the turret clearances and things, at the moment they're always against one of the preset organizations. But what I'd like is also those missions to be kind of customized by the player-run organizations as well. So you'll when you see you're attacking a certain organization, you might think, well, their drones are all loaded up with javelin barrages, so I'll equip my ship accordingly. So I'm hoping that's going to make the whole thing sort of flexible and varied, you know, interesting. Okay, yeah, I said everything about it now. Go on.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, be very careful of allowing players to build, like, stations anywhere. Like, because once Jumpgate did that, the game kind of went a little bit downhill because it was totally...
Yeah.
And it was totally...
I mean, that's why I'm worried. I mean, I also think people have asked about conquering stations as well. And in theory, it sounds good. But again, I think you'd enter the game one day and one team would have taken over the whole universe. And exactly. Yeah, and then you won't be able to just have the fun, you know, going around mining and doing missions and, you know, the stuff that makes the game enjoyable. So yeah, I'm wary of that, certainly.
Yeah, it's also can be an issue in EVE, as Last Shogun brought up. So yeah, it's something definitely to be wary of, I think. I mean, people definitely want to leave their mark in games like this, but there are other ways to do that besides giving them these tools that just allow them to take over the map.
Yeah. I mean, there might be some ideas I could do later. I mean, I've half put in the feature where you can edit your station, but I haven't. I've decided to put that on the maybe later pile. But one idea I did have was kind of when you're building the station, it could be a bit like an RTS. Like you could build a weapons factory in one part of it, and a ship factory, and a refinery, and do all of that. I thought that could be kind of a bit of a fun meta game. But again, I think maybe later. maybe to help with like the overall defense of the system rather than just take over.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, just to customize it a bit. Yeah,
that would make sense. You know, let people do a little more higher level stuff if they get to a certain point.
Yeah, I think I mean in the old game, I did like how certain people kind of became almost celebrities. So like there used to be like someone had an organization of 1,000 people, and I remember there was one that was called the Roman Army, and the leader was called the leader was called Caesar. So whenever Caesar turned up, everyone, got excited because it was like this rare person showing up. And I almost think that if I can expand the organisation so that when all the stations look like the Roman army or whatever, it's gonna add to that, add to that sense of celebrity. I mean, that's partly why I did the leader names like the chieftain and all of that. It kind of adds a bit of status. So rather than you being the chosen one like you are in some games, you have to earn that.
You have to have an organization large enough to actually earn it.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah, exactly. You've got to recruit people, but I think that will happen. But it's not. That's the thing. I think it's not mandatory, but I think it will happen. I mean, the other thing I've done actually is if you get to a certain level of leader, there's a special ship you can have, like the Admiral class warship.
Oh wow!
That's only available to leaders. And there's an alien one as well, the Elite Destroyer. So they're kind of slightly different stats to the normal destroyer. But you see one of those turn up, it's someone that's been a leader. So I think that would be quite cool. I think I might add some others, like maybe like the lower level ships. Maybe one of those with gold wings or whatever. So maybe if you're not an admiral. Maybe if you're just a group of 10 people, you can still get a cool ship, but a smaller one. Maybe.
That sounds pretty great. Are there going to be like organization-specific ships? Like you can only get, like if you're in an organization, you reach a level, like you can only get that ship if you're, like not even the leader ship, but like maybe other unlockable ships that you can only get if you're in a powerful.
I mean, I thought about it. The thing is, I want to encourage people to make their own organisations. So I don't know if I could. I mean, maybe they could pick their own unique ship. Maybe I'm not sure. I'll think about. I'll add that to the list, to the maybe list.
Your maybe list is probably huge at this point.
It is.
So right now, someone asked when there might be an open beta or when the game might be done. Do you have any kind of time frame in mind? I mean, if you don't, that's cool. But do you have any kind of time frame in mind?
Well, there won't be I don't think there'll be an open beta. Maybe I will before. I don't know about that because it's been a Kickstarter reward. Well, I don't know. I guess I could do it after all the paid beta's done. Maybe I could move on to another one.
Like maybe like right before you launch, like do like open, like a week or two before. Well,
I wondered about this Steam early access thing. I thought, I don't know. Well, there's a bit of a stigma with that now, isn't there? But people don't think the game's ever going to get.
Yeah. There's totally a stigma with that.
It depends on how you implement it, of course, because there are some that have been in early access for quite some time, and their responses from the community have still been very positive or mostly positive because they're just very active with their development process, and the community knows that they're putting out monthly updates, so they're not really questioning how the process is being done or how long it's going to take. They just know that it's being done.
Right, yeah, I see. You see it's not being abandoned. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Pulsar Lost Colony is a good example. They put up pretty much monthly updates, and it's been very, very positive in terms of community. There's not much of a question that they will get it done. It's just a matter of when. Right,
yeah, okay. Well, I might think about that then, because I think I believe with the Kickstarter and everything, but there's only so long this money's gonna last. So I think at that point it might be good to kind of soft launch it in a way. So maybe early access could be a good way with releasing it without having to rush it. Maybe.
Well, if it's a short early access period, say 2 to 3 months, that where it's reasonable that you're mainly done, at the beta stage, and you just want to polish before release.
Right, yeah.
That's a little more reasonable, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe I'll do that then. That sounds good. Yeah, thanks for your tips.
Yeah, we have seen both good and bad in early access, and if you keep it at a reasonable length and you're very communicative, like Spaz said, you can really have a very positive early access period.
Okay, yeah. Well, all right. Well, I'll see. I'm sure some people will give me some opinions after this. So I'll see what people say on the Starfighter chat.
Yeah, and folks are pretty active in your Discord as well, which is really great to see. You have quite an active community. For how many players would you say you have right now?
Well, the amount of people actually in game is probably not as many as it was, but there's probably about. I'm not sure because of course not everyone's been let in yet. So when I move on to the next phase, there'll be quite a lot more. I don't know. So yeah, it's probably about maybe there's about 100 people. But the thing is, like I said earlier, the people, a lot of them are people that played the old game, Starfighter Disputed Galaxy, and they're it's been quite a passionate fan base, and they've been quite passionate here. So I've been logging the hours of some people. I could probably look up the longest.
Yeah, some people are already like level 99 and crop.
Well, some people did find some quick ways of leveling up. Like there was one, there was a bug that was spawning about 60 drones at once. So people were triggering that and then dropping a large bomb in the middle and cashing in. So they've probably been a bit quicker than they would have otherwise.
Right.
But also, yeah, I've been trying to learn how to pace that as well. Yeah, I was trying to look up the hours, but I can't find it quickly, so never mind. But yeah, some people have put in lots of hours and given me lots of great feedback. It's really helped spur me on, to be honest. It makes me think in future whenever I do a game, I should get it to beta quickly and alpha quickly, and let people help me because it's fun.
Yeah, this kind of user feedback is really invaluable, I'm sure.
Yeah, and watching you play yesterday, that was great. Or just while me and my wife having dinner, we just watched the video in its entirety.
Oh wow!
It was good fun. She enjoyed it as well. And we it's fun good. Watching your decisions, and you had some good reactions. I think when that first javelin barrage came in and you sounded like you jumped out your skin, that was a good reaction.
I was totally like, what the crap? Totally scared the crap out of me in a good way. Yeah.
Well, hopefully there'll be some more surprises the more you play as well. I've certainly got some things planned.
I can't wait to see someone use one of those asteroid cloaking things on me.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out.
Well, I was going to say when you get to the next star system at the moment, there's this other race. I had a good reaction when I first put that in, and I want to put in something like I've got. I'm going to put some things that will only. I mean, I don't want to spoil everything for everyone, but some events that will be very, very rare, and some creatures and some things that you'll only see if you're in the right place at the right time. So I like the idea because I mean this. Yeah, it's a bit of, okay. Someone in the old game there was a bug where people managed to get out off the edge of the star system and out of sector 00 into sector -1, which didn't exist. It was just a glitch. But there became a kind of mythology about this place. People called it Sheenland, I think, and there were all rumors about how to get there and things. So I've kind of thought, maybe I could, because that was just a glitch. Maybe I could introduce a few things like that intentionally. A few surprises, so that maybe only 1 in 1,000 people will encounter. I think that and create create some stories. I mean, do other games have that kind of thing?
Oh, developer rooms, where it's kind of an Easter egg sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was thinking more for players to encounter, but yeah, it's hard to describe without giving the surprise away. So
no,
maybe
I can see.
just keep quiet.
I can see like there's a certain way, like you have to be in a right sector at a right time, and all of a sudden, hey, I can go off the edge of this sector. And
right.
Like not a hidden room per se, but something like that, where it's like
that kind of
like a subspace bubble or something, like right.
Exactly,
what's going on in here? And it's like if you kill every enemy in this little subspace bubble, you get a really cool gun or something, something like that.
I had one of my guys. So this is kind of the right idea, but I've rejected this one, which was someone said like if you're trying to go into hyperspace and you get hit by like an EMP or a certain missile, then you would end up being launched into another dimension. And I thought that's kind of the right idea. It's the other dimension bit that I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, how would you get back?
How would you get back? Yeah.
But I could see like if you're about to hyperspace and you get hit by a missile, you could hyperspace to the totally wrong sector.
Yeah, well,
something like that, maybe.
I mean, I thought you saw the hyperspace jammer in the game yesterday, didn't you? Well, I think you just flew past it, but I could have a few things like that, like where you're hyperspacing over a sector. It pulls you out of hyperspace early, and you could have an ambush waiting for you.
Ooh,
I mean, that's already kind of half in there, but I can expand on that kind of idea, I think.
But
I like the idea that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing to consider is something that Drox Operative used, which was
thank you. Yes,
wormholes will randomly appear, and if you go to that wormhole, you happen to just be in the area when it appears. You go to it, and it transports you to a small instance where there might be some treasure hidden or something to that effect. Chests to open, random ships to loot, and then after that, you just leave the area. You can leave back through
fly off the edge,
and then you're back in where you came from.
Back where you were. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, yeah. That is kind of the kind of thing I've got in mind. But I don't want to.
But the specifics of how you do that would be until the community discovers it.
I was going to bring up another thing Drox Operative does. They have these anomalies, and you can scan them. And sometimes when you scan them, you'll get loot or whatever. But other times when you scan them, it'll transport you to another sector that you're like totally not ready for. And so you have to run the hell away from everything.
Find the gate to get out.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, of course, in your opening star system, you probably haven't encountered any wormholes in the game yet, or have you?
No, I have not actually.
Yes. Well, yes, because someone basically said that one of their experiences they've liked in this kind of game is where the fight, like you're getting launched somewhere random and having to fight your way home again. And I think that I like the sound of that as well. So a wormhole, it sends you to a random sector on the map, but also I've also set it up so some of them can be gates to other star systems. So I'm going to place some in, and you have to kind of, I guess you'll have to go into them, and then when you go into them, it'll either take you somewhere nearby or it'll take you somewhere a long way away. But that'll be part of the exploration element of the game. And I'm not sure there's any of that in the game yet, but it's coded in at least.
That's fair.
I'm probably not going to go to this next solar system until I've explored every sector of this one. I'm kind of a completist that way.
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, I think that's good. I mean, I think I want players to be able to go anywhere, and I think some players will want, when they've got high level, they might want to come back to the start to show off their cool ship and everything. I've just got to find a way of dealing with them, like griefers and people that have got to level 100 and then come back and destroy all the beginners. But I got some ideas about that. But But I think that would be cool. I think I like the idea of in the game you've got choice. Like you can choose to play against other players. You can choose to do missions. You can choose to hang out in the space station or choose to go mining. You know, I think who am I to dictate what players should do? I think if I think of it like providing a box of toys. You know, got all these weapons, a few things to do, and it's up to players what they can do. So if you've got any requests if anyone's got any requests for anything to be in the game that will make it more fun, like you were saying, more non-hostile missions, gladly. Or maybe I should. Yeah. I'll have a think about that. I think that would be good. Some more non-hostile things.
Yeah,
to do.
like taxi missions, courier missions, that sort of thing.
Taxi,
yeah. 30-30 Death War, which is what I was thinking. I mean, you start off courier and taxi missions are basically your bread and butter early on. You don't really want to do combat because you're just not strong enough.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
That and mining, of course.
That and mining, yeah. Well, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll certainly maybe I'll work on you spurred me on to work on the courier missions today, so I'll have a look at that.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And that also encourages exploration. Like, I've never been to that planet. You know, let's take a package there. You know, that's so. You know, it's another great way to get the like a newer player familiar with the map as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you were in yours. You hadn't gone very near the enemy kind of area, had you? I think that's. I think that's interesting.
I think I brushed against it a little while back and ran the fuck away because I was like, "Oh god!" I think I like went into one of their systems once, and it was like enemies 30 or something like that. And I was like, "Okay, I'm leaving."
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's kind of good. I almost think when you're starting out, like, because there will be people on that team as well, so they'll be doing kind of the same thing at their end. So it's almost, I like the idea that there's stuff over there, but you're a bit scared to go and find out. I think that's
exactly, yeah.
I think that's cool. Quite good.
I think I think there's like, I think I've exposed one or two sectors that are like enemy sectors, and like, but I didn't feel ready enough at all to deal with it, so I just bolted. I think I had.
And I think
sorry.
I was going to say one of the player feedback was because that was a good way. Like, I encountered one of Darty. He's one of the people that spent the most hours in the game. I encountered him in the game, and he had basically he was at the enemy station or my station, and he had dropped a load of turret beacons. So he had a sort of wall of his own turrets. And the station itself, just when anything came out of it, was just being instantly annihilated. But so on his kind of feedback with that was that the station should defend themselves better. So now I think they will spawn tougher and tougher ships the longer you hang about. So if you destroy all of their ships, they'll send out some bigger ones. So, but the thing is, with anything like that, it becomes a kind of a challenge to certain players, and I think that's how some of them have leveled up so well. They've gone to these things and they've just destroyed lots of high-level ships. Or I don't know how they've done it. I should maybe get them to do a video like you did. But I think they've got the expensive weapons and maybe mined the whole area. That'd be a good way of doing it. But yeah, so. When you're exploring the rest of the map, you'll have to go into that area a bit, and but hopefully that will add some just general.
I'm sure it will. Another cool thing you could do is, like, if a station is under attack like that, like maybe have it send out a distress signal, and like other players
to players.
Yeah,
to other players. Well, maybe. I mean, it's only sort of technical reasons I wouldn't. Only because how everything's connected up, but it could work. I mean, there's also the thing that if you attack a station, like, how long are you going to be there for? So by the time any other players have got there, you might have legged it or already lost all your lives. But it might be cool to have some scripted events like that. Like maybe it could do that. Like maybe on your team it could say go and attack this station, and then on their team it could say this station's under attack, and it could just say that all day, and maybe that would funnel all players to that one.
Yeah, that'd be
place.
fun for like a temporary thing. But that also got me thinking.
But then again, if you were trying to just do some pleasant mining, maybe it would be there's chaos going on. Maybe.
But that also got me thinking, like, what if there are like other mining ships out there, and they send you a distress signal if you're in the same sector, and like
yes, I did have that coded in, but I've kind of taken it out for some reason. But again, it was like an AI ship, so it would be like a random mission. Yeah, cool, like I think there was a.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I think there was a problem with it, but yeah, I do think it's a good idea. And there are the protect missions, aren't there? Did you try one of them?
I have tried. I haven't seen one in a while. All I'm seeing now are like clearance missions. I haven't seen a protect mission in a while. But when I first started playing, they were bugged. So like you'd get there and there's either nothing to protect or the thing that you were trying to protect got destroyed before you even got there.
Yeah, so, you were instantly failed. Yeah.
So, but I haven't seen one of those in a while. But I did like those. I thought those are great. But yeah, it'd also be cool just you're flying about. Oh, I'm being attacked. Help me. And then they maybe pay you.
Yeah.
Or you get a little XP, something like that. That'd be great.
That would be good. Like if you're just on your way somewhere. Yeah. I also like the idea that like I was playing I played the Witcher not long ago, and they had these guarded treasures, they called them. So I quite like the idea of that. You're passing something and you see I don't know what to call them, but like a guarded item. Ooh. And then you go in the like maybe in the middle of the sector there could be some tough ships and a crate to pick up in the middle, so you could do a run through and grab it, or you could just move on. That might be quite fun.
That would be fun.
One way you might be able to implement that would be along the lines of, say, some of the older Age of Sail type games where you're playing a pirate and you have these rumors of a convoy carrying Spanish gold. Ooh. And maybe you want to attack that convoy and maybe loot the convoy. That would be one way to implement that. You have rumors of these convoys traveling around.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Ooh,
yeah,
and then when you kill one of their ships, they drop those loot crates that you have in the game with all kinds of goodies in them.
Yeah, without spoiling too much, in the next star system, in this non-playable race, they occasionally they'll spawn like a boss ship, and when you destroy that, they will drop a special weapon. So I've already kind of got that in a bit with these non-playable races, but it might be kind of cool to have it as a more commonplace thing, like you say. So like at the moment, we've got the ambushes and the asteroid storms and things. Maybe you're right, a distress call could come in, or you could say convoy detected, and then you could go in there, and then you would have to attack them to get some maybe a blueprint, so you can craft something new. But yeah, sorry, I'm thinking out loud now. I like the idea.
No, it's a great idea in terms of, if you got an organization of a dozen or so people, hey, attack a convoy, and it gives you something to do as a team.
Yeah, that would be good. I could do more team activities, definitely. Yeah. Okay, I'll add that on the maybe list, but nearer the top than the other things. Yeah.
That does sound fun, though. We do need to start wrapping up, though. I do need to get to work. But this has been a really fun discussion. So, folks, again, the game is called Starfighter Infinity. You can find it at starfighterinfinity.com. I don't know if your site has a link to the tester buy-in thing from...
I think it does.
Does it? I couldn't find it.
It's in the opening paragraph on the page. Maybe I should make it clearer. So
it says I see it now. Yeah. I would think maybe add like a menu item like database FAQ. Maybe add maybe something like that.
Yeah, and I failed on the marketing side of this.
No, it's fine. But yeah, you can buy into the beta right now, which apparently is not far away, from what I'm told. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so I've taken off the alpha option because I'm hoping to go to beta by around the end of the month, so a couple of weeks.
Oh wow!
Pending, yeah, I know. It still seems like there's a lot to do, but it'd be good to move to the next stage. So I'm going to try and get all of the major things done by then, and I'll add some more star systems. I've got a lot of stuff queued up, but just not put in yet. So yeah, hopefully the game will leap forward a bit soon. So so if you want to be involved with the testing, get onto that site, and your support would be hugely appreciated.
Is there going to be a wipe from alpha to beta?
Well, probably. In fact, I've been planning on doing it for a while, but it's been quite handy having because there was stuff I thought it would take months, and people did it in the first weekend. And I've been trying to get the sort of rate of increase right. So basically I want to feel like that's at least roughly right, and then start everyone again. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the progression is about right, or?
So far, I'm fairly casual, and so it seems pretty good to me. I haven't had any complaints. I mean, it's felt natural to me so far. Like it's felt like I'm not getting too much XP, but I'm not getting too little.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for the amount of time I'm spending, I'm getting a decent amount of XP and money, and so
okay, that's good.
So it's felt fairly natural. I can see though, like if you put all this time in, I could see where it could be exploited to a point, or if you find bugs.
I mean, it's hard. I don't want it to get too slow and boring either. Maybe if people do manage to do it all within a couple of weeks, maybe it won't be the end of the world. Maybe I'll just have to add more. I'll just have to add more stuff, or more stuff to do. I mean, I think with the old game, a lot of people did get to the highest level, and then they just did PvP and things like that. So maybe beyond a certain point, I need to switch the focus from leveling up to something else.
Or maybe have reasons to create alts. So once they because different, maybe not only you have different species, but different career paths or something. And so
maybe
something like that, so you're not just focused on your one level 50 character all the time. You have a little variety,
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I'll have a think. If anyone else out there has got any ideas, please feel free to send them my way. And they're all welcome. It's been really good with this game having people inputting ideas, even for the planets was a Kickstarter award. People that put in £75 got to name a planet, is what I said, and then on the form I said, any suggestions of color? I was expecting like green, but then people were coming in with all kinds of crazy ideas about gas giant with 7 moons and made of crystal and all kinds of things. And that seemed, it probably has added a lot of time to my work, but it's been a lot of fun trying to come up with these planets and trying to come up with a story to fit them in. So I think in this game, it's been supported by the community for many years, and it's really nice that the community's sort of involved with the ideas for making the game. So if anyone else has got any ideas, feel free to send them, because I think it's only helping me, but be prepared for me to say no.
Yeah, it's because it's your vision. That's exactly what you should stick with, is your vision.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of being if this game's ever going to get finished, then I have to say no to some things. Otherwise, it just spirals out of control.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You'll make the game you want to make. And if that happens to fit the vision that other people have of it, awesome. It doesn't always happen that way, though.
Exactly.
Well, that's right. That's right. But I think that's I think being an indie dev, that's one of the skills you pick up, is learning.
Absolutely.
I think learning what's worth the effort. Yeah. And what fits your vision. You're right. Yeah. You worry about turning don't want to end up being like, George Lucas or whatever. Too proud, and then, but yeah, it's a balance, isn't it?
Right, it totally is. So, folks, we're going to wrap up. Just a few quick programming notes. We should be, if all goes well, playing Borderlands 2. We've been playing Borderlands 2 for a year now, once a month. So that's exciting. So we should be playing that.
I thought we were postponing.
Oh, we are?
I thought, well, since we're going to be short a man.
Oh, I didn't know that was I didn't know that was settled on. Okay, so we're not having Borderlands 2 this week. Forget that. And also, we are not having a podcast next week. Summer's going to be weird because a lot of us are doing all these different things. Like I'm going to a concert next Tuesday that I cannot get out of. So there's sadly no podcast next week. And there's also no MMO thing this weekend because we have house guests. So we can't do that. So sorry about that. So yeah, it's kind of going to be a weird summer where some weeks we do have a podcast and some weeks we don't because it's kind of strange. So
a lot going on.
So did you want to do something else, Spaz? If I throw it out there, like maybe we won't do Borderlands 2. Maybe.
Well, we'll talk it over.
We'll talk it over. So maybe we'll be doing something on Thursday. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll stream some Martyr, Inquisitor Martyr. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
That could work. Yeah, that would totally work, actually.
That could totally work. All right, but yeah, folks, thank you so much for listening. Ben, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about your game.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Totally a pleasure. Again, folks, the game is Starfighter Infinity. You can find it at starfighterinfinity.com, and you can buy into the beta. Apparently, someone on our Facebook group has already bought into the beta after watching the video I made, so thank you very much for that.
Good. Thank you.
I believe it's Ash. Thank you very much for that, Ash. And yeah, so keep an eye on it. And folks, we'll see you next time. And Patreon subscribers, thank you very much for all the support you give us. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you very much. And I'm rambling because I'm so sleepy. So I'm just going to cut it now. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.